Welcome to the Beautifully Aligned podcast. My name is Lynn Ford, and I am a certified life coach. If you are looking to become more aligned in life, from your style to wellness to mindset to your relationships to success, then you have come to the right place. My goal for this podcast is to guide you in recognizing the boundless potential within you, empowering you to achieve anything that you aspire to be, do, or have. Thank you so much for being here today. Now let's get into the show. Hello, and welcome back to the Beautifully Aligned podcast. I am so happy that you are here today. If you are new, I feel like this would be a great episode to start with because we are talking about fulfillment. And that is such a weighted, I was going to say heavy, but that's not quite the right word. It's such a big weighted topic that is so important. As human beings, fulfillment is what we all want and crave, and it encompasses so much. Like, we want a fulfilling life, but then what does that mean? We want connection. We want to feel satisfied. We want to feel happy. We want to feel joy in every single area of our life, right? From family to relationships, friendships, finances, fitness, nutrition, like all of the things. We all want to feel fulfilled. So on this episode today, I'm not going to do like 5 ways to find fulfillment in your life. You can totally Google that. You will probably find lots of different answers. Some of the answers are probably great, some maybe not so great. What I'm going to share today is the very first thing you need to do that requires quite a bit of time to find fulfillment in life that you might find on some lists, but I personally haven't seen it. And it is the most important thing to do. So I'm going to get into that. And then once we cover that, you go deeper and you can go into those more niche, like specific things, like focus on your goals and blah, blah, blah. But there's one thing to do first to find that ultimate fulfillment. And like I said, it's such a big, weighted topic. And there's so many lists out there. I'll try not to be repetitive, but just so many lists that are like, set goals and then achieve them and spend time with those you love. And yes, those things are great and fabulous and important. But to find that like true fulfillment, that true peace and joy that's consistent and long lasting, oh my gosh, there's nothing like it. And I am so passionate about this because I found this for myself recently-ish. And it's something that I work with my clients on. And one of the very first things, usually with most of my clients that I do, is starting to go into this work while we work through whatever it is that the client wants to work on, because it's just so huge. It's so super important. Okay, so now that that's out of the way, I want to just touch on this because it's so important. So a lot of times you will hear the word happiness be used interchangeably with fulfillment, but they are completely different things. They mean completely different things. So happiness is more of an outward experience. So if I have this, I will be happy. If I do this, I will be happy. If I get this job, I will be happy. It can also look like comparing your life to someone else's on social media, like seeing this quote unquote really happy, joyful life that you see someone else living. And you're like, gosh, why can't I have that? So the comparison game can come in. We can also compare previous experiences that we've had where we have felt that immense joy, that immense happiness in life, but It is fleeting. So happiness is fleeting. It's not something that's usually for most people just this kind of baseline ongoing thing. And I heard somewhere, Nala the cat, if you're watching this on YouTube, is just hanging out behind me. I can't remember who I heard talk about this, but it was such a good point that you don't know true happiness or peace or joy if you haven't experienced the opposite. So sadness or anxiety, depression, when we're in this just despair state, there's nothing to kind of compare it against to have this baseline. So there's this duality too that comes with happiness. And it can also, if you take something away, for example, I'm just thinking about if you had something and then it was taken away, that can produce anxiety too. Now, I am in no way saying that happiness is bad. I'm just trying to paint a picture for you about the differences between happiness and fulfillment. I personally want to feel happy all the time, but I don't. There are lots of things in life that make me personally happy, but fulfillment is so much more peaceful. And I'm trying to think of another word for fulfilling because that's the word that I want to use. It's fulfilling. It's peaceful. It's like satisfying. That's a great word for it, is satisfying. And there is a big difference. So fulfillment comes from inside of you. You are the only person on this planet who can make you feel fulfilled, which is such a gift, right? Because we look at happiness and someone else can fill us with joy, or we can feel joy from something somebody said or something that we accomplished. But to have this internal knowing and being of fulfillment is just like no other. The first time that I ever heard somebody talking about fulfillment, and it just made so much sense to me, was I was listening to a Tony Robbins podcast episode. This was years ago. I remember I was at the gym and like all of the light bulbs went off in my head. He was talking about people he knows or has known in his life, and also celebrities who had what it looked like or looks like is everything. They have it all. They have wealth. They have a beautiful family. They do work that millions of people enjoy if they're actors. I think he referenced Robin Williams as one of the actors. And a friend that he had who is an artist who sold like $1 million paintings or something like that, like had no shortage of money. But inside, he was not fulfilled. He did not feel any joy. He just wanted more, more, more. And Tony's talk about fulfillment, it made so much sense that it can look like somebody really has it all, but inside, which is where fulfillment comes from, doesn't match the outside or what we all perceive to be quote unquote fulfillment or happiness. So that was really huge for me, and kind of understanding not only the differences between happiness and fulfillment, but just how fulfillment is so important. If you, for example, have all this wealth but don't enjoy it because you don't feel fulfilled inside, like how empty of a feeling is that? And so many people feel that way. They have these great jobs, or they get straight A's, or they live in such and such place and feel like they really should feel fulfilled, but they just don't. And that's shitty. That's really, really shitty. And I understand because I have been there myself. Before I move on, let me just give an example or two of kind of the difference between the two, happiness and fulfillment. So say somebody thinks they feel fulfilled because they have a great job, a great relationship, whatever. But say one day at work, a coworker gets mad or something happens, and then you just feel crushed. You feel like, oh, I'm not good enough, or whatever negative feeling that comes along, a sense of doom if you get in trouble or a slap on the wrist at work, or say it's in a relationship where you feel like, I'm in this relationship, I feel secure, but then you get into an argument with your boyfriend or girlfriend or whoever, and then it all goes kind of out the window. You're thinking it's over. What I want to say is that it's possible to still feel fulfilled, like this ongoing feeling and knowing of satisfaction and fulfillment inside, regardless of what is going on externally around you. So at your job, say you love your job, but you have a misunderstanding at work and you're aligned. Do you like how I used aligned with the podcast name here? So in an aligned situation, you can, of course, we all will have conflict and have conflict in our lives. When you are aligned and something negative or hard comes up, you can still feel fulfilled. So that's just what I'm trying to get at here, is that there is a big difference between this external kind of gratification or praise that we get from others that we say makes it or think makes us feel happy or fulfilled, versus this internal knowing and being of having that fulfillment, because nobody can shake that. Not a job, not a relationship, not anything external outside of us can shake your internal fulfillment. I think also living a fulfilling life, I think also equals living an authentic life. So living a life that feels good to you on the inside, that is authentically you. There are no shoulds, like I should be doing this, I should be in this job, I should live here, I should have this many kids, I should marry this person. It is just you, authentically you. And by the way, we have all lived a certain part of our lives, or maybe our whole lives, pertaining to those quote unquote shoulds. And I'm going to get to that in just a minute. But here is the big reveal, the big answer to living fulfilled, living authentically. It is to know your core values and live by your core values with awareness. So, what do I mean by this? There are two sets of values. There are core values, which are the values that we are born with. They are like intrinsically within us, and they are unique to everyone. It's like a fingerprint. And we also all of us have acquired values. And you can probably guess where that term comes from. We all acquire values from our surroundings, from our culture, from our parents, from our teachers, from social media, from the typical media, from our generation, from previous generations. So there's all of these different places that we acquire values. And the problem comes up when we start living our lives in an unbalanced way, where we're living according more to our acquired values versus our core values. And what I have found personally is that I was living in my acquired values, like probably 80 to 90% of the time before I became aware of these two value systems and really became aware of what mine were and knew how to find out what they both were. And now I can intentionally live according to my core values. And in that way, I am more authentically me. And I'm not feeling like I should be doing XYZ, or I have to be in this place or I have to be in this job because of whatever reason. So knowing your core values, that is like the angels singing, and I'm not going to do it because I have the worst voice, so I'm not going to do it. But just imagine the angels singing, and that is your answer. And one really good way to think about what your core values are is to think way back to childhood and think about what you liked to do as a kid. What could you do for hours? Like you didn't even notice the time passing. And maybe you like to still do that now. What values are involved with that? I will give you an example for myself. So I have always loved all the girly things. I've loved all things beautiful. And yes, beauty is whatever that saying is. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But I loved like all the girly, sparkly pink things. I loved Barbie. That was my favorite activity, was dressing my Barbies up and decorating her house and all of the things. I liked to rearrange my bedroom and just make it aesthetically pleasing. As a teen, I liked to flip through fashion and beauty magazines. And going way back to when I was a really little girl, my favorite game, if you are an 80s baby or a 90s baby, maybe you know this game, Pretty Pretty Princess, where you got all this jewelry and they were like clip-on earrings, big, like sparkly, colorful jewelry. I loved that game. I loved dress up. I loved putting on makeup as a little girl. So all things beautiful. And today, to this day, that is me, like girly girl to a T. I tried to like shove it down a few years ago, or maybe more than a few years ago. And I did talk about that in an episode. It's a few episodes back about why I did that or why I think I did that. So all of that to say that beauty and aesthetics are two of my core values. I have many other core values. Most of us have about 10 plus core values, but those are two of mine. But as I got older, they started to just like go down on the totem pole, and my acquired values of one being success, another being achievement, started to take over in terms of how I was spending my time and the things that I was focusing on, because they were programmed into me, going to school. I needed to focus on my academics. And then later on, I felt like I needed to, there was no other option really for me. Go to school and get a degree and get a good job. Now, did this feel inside fulfilling to me? No. And I did actually think about it. I'm like thinking back. There was somebody who made a comment. Let me talk about that for a second. Okay. So in college, I studied psychology, which I was interested in. I was genuinely interested in psychology. And I think it's why now I'm doing what I do today, coaching women. It's very closely related. But that beauty piece, that beauty value completely just fell off. So not only was I studying psychology in college, but I was also studying pre-med. I did have an interest in medicine, but it wasn't there. It wasn't like that full passion, like I want to do this. It was more success driven, the pre-med part. So I remember being at a 4th of July barbecue with my parents, and some of their friends were there. And one of their friends asked me what I was doing. Like, what are you studying? What are you doing in school? All the things. I was probably 20. And I told her psychology and pre-med. And she was like, no, I don't think so. Like seeing to the future, kind of like, I don't think you're going to do that. You are like this girly girl, this fashion forward girl, and so interested in beauty. I can see you being like in the beauty fashion world. And when she said that, like I knew in myself that what I was doing was not aligned, but I had no confidence, no like self-worth, none of that, no awareness of my core values or my acquired values to know that I don't want to say should, but should maybe follow my core values. No, that was not there. It wasn't until 10 plus years later where I followed my true passions. And that's why I'm here today. But that was just interesting to me because I remember feeling that tinge like, ooh, she is freaking right. She is spot on. She was probably living in her core values and probably is living in her core values. So, all of that to say that when you're thinking about your core values, one of the ways to find what they are is to think about what you could do for just hours, especially as a little kid, because chances are you probably still love those things now. So that is my bit about core values, but most of us live according to what is modeled for us. Like I said, from social media to our parents to teachers, society, being in school, all of the things, we are programmed. And so we go along with not only things that we do, like I need to go to work and I need to make this much money and I need to get married by this age, or I should be doing XYZ. It's even the things that we deem as right and wrong, or, ooh, I shouldn't do that because it's bad, or I should do this because it's good. And we label emotions certain ways and it can just take over. And I would say, after working with many women, 95% are living this way. And that is the norm. That's totally the norm, which is so unfortunate. And it's not until we become aware that we can shed those acquired values and really live authentically. So that is the key to like unlock the universe. It is incredible. And so, dun, 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 I have the most incredible offer for you today. And I have hinted at this probably for a couple of months now, is that I am releasing a course on how to find your core values, how to find your acquired values. There is a scientific approach. I would totally do this in a podcast episode, but it would be hours long. And this is work that has to be very focused. You have to be very conscious. And there are other materials that come along with this work. So it is huge. Like I said, it's going to be hours long. It's all scientifically backed, which is really cool. I am a values trained coach. So I'm using those practices in this course where you will know, like 100% know what your core values are, what your acquired values are, how to actually live in your core values, and how to shed or how to limit living in your acquired values. Because sometimes there are certain situations where we put on one of our acquired values, and that's okay. And I get into that. I get into fulfillment in values, relationships, all of the things, but I'm giving you all of the hows, and it's really cool. And like I said, it is scientifically backed, so it's not a bunch of woo-woo stuff. You do have to go deep within. You have to get really honest with yourself. Maybe that's woo-woo to you. I don't know. But I am just so passionate about this work. And if you don't do anything else, please find out and know your values. I just want to say I did a poll on Instagram a while back and I asked my community, do you know what your core values are? And I would say like 95% of people said yes. And yes, I am doubting that. Why? because when people come to me and work with me, a lot of the time they think they know, and we talk about it and then dig into this work, and it's like that mind blown emoji because I thought I did too. I thought I knew what my core values were. If you asked me, probably at any point in my life, I would have told you certain values that are not actually my core values. So it wasn't until me as a coach myself did this work to figure it out. And now I'm living in alignment. I'm living in fulfillment. So I only teach what I have personally mastered and what I personally feel so passionate about. And this is like the number one thing that I think everybody needs to do in their life is to know their core values. And it does not matter where you are in life. It doesn't matter if you are a college student trying to figure out what you want to study and do with your life, or maybe you are a recent retiree and your kids have left home and now you're like, now what? Like, I feel like I was living my whole life just doing these motions, working at this job, and it wasn't me. And now I want to be me and authentically me and live a fulfilled life. So anybody can do this. I have personally worked with those that are very young, like early 20s, up through like retirement age and beyond. So anyone can do this work, and I am so excited to bring it to you. You can join the wait list right now, and I'll have a special little treat for those who join the wait list with this course. It will be affordable. I'm just so passionate about it. So I will drop the link to sign up to join the wait list. No pressure. You totally do not have to sign up if you don't want to, but if you want more information on what's going into this course, what specifically you'll learn, and all of those things, then click the link and you will get all of that info. So with that, I hope that this episode today was enjoyable, helpful, all of the things, was inspiring, maybe gives you some hope, I hope. And with that, I will chat with you next week. Bye.